Everyone is broke and the car market is screaming it. Shiny cars are lined up under dazzling showroom lights, each one with a price tag that could give anyone a serious case of sticker shock. Sounds familiar, right? Well, you are not alone. No one seems to buy these cars. Everyone is saying that they are overpriced. The truth is, the car market is screaming a loud and clear message. Everywhere you look, people are struggling. But how bad is it? Just look at the dealerships today. Lots filled with shiny trucks, stylish SUVs, and sleek crossovers that are full of sophistication and such a high price. I mean, have you heard that insane statistic? 1 in 5 auto loans in the US now comes with a monthly payment of over $1,000. Yes, you heard that right. That figure isn't just a number, it's a flashing sign pointing to a bigger issue. The struggle for many consumers as they juggle mounting costs. You can almost feel it in the air as sales teams hustle to seal the deal. The struggle to find the right vehicle at a reasonable price has become part of the everyday conversation. Now the questions, are the price tags really that high? Or are we just not doing good enough as an economy? How did we get here? It's no secret that the cost of vehicles has skyrocketed in recent years, transforming how consumers approach their purchases. To put things into perspective, consider this. The average transaction price for a new vehicle surged by around 24% between 2019 and 2024. Some brands even soared with price increases of up to 50%, leaving many potential buyers scratching their heads and reevaluating their budgets. For countless consumers, these skyrocketing prices have thrown a major wrench in their plans, forcing them to rethink their financial strategies. Suddenly, the idea of buying a new car doesn't feel like a straightforward decision. It's a complex puzzle, so let me break it down for you. The impact of these inflated prices is nothing short of staggering. Many buyers are now contemplating longer loan terms just to make the monthly payment pay out. Others are facing the harsh reality that their dream of owning a new vehicle might have to be shelved, at least for the uncertain period of time. The emotional burden is heavy, and the tension is felt in every dealership across the country. Recent data from early 2023 revealed that the average monthly payment for new vehicles reached a jaw-dropping record high of over $700. That's a significant financial commitment, and for many, it's becoming a daunting challenge to cope with the escalating costs of car ownership. But hold on a minute. Let's hit pause for a moment and take a look back at the historical context that brought us to this point. It's essential to remember that the dramatic rise in vehicle prices didn't happen overnight. No, it's the result of a mix of economic factors that have unfolded over the past few decades. Why is this happening? Well, let's start with the big one. The COVID-19 pandemic, which began disrupting lives in early 2020, was a pivotal moment. It led to widespread factory shutdowns and a severe shortage of semiconductor chips, both crucial components in the production of new vehicles. Consequently, this supply crunch collided with a surge in consumer demand, resulting in an unprecedented inflation of prices. To paint you a clearer picture, let's go over some numbers. From December 2020 to December 2021, new car prices skyrocketed by a staggering 11.7%, while used car prices experienced an astonishing jump of 37.2%. While some expected prices to stabilize afterwards, many consumers were left disappointed as costs remained elevated, refusing to slide back towards pre-pandemic levels. Fast forward to January 2024, when new vehicle prices were still hovering about 19.6% higher compared to January 2021, a shocking realization that puts everything into perspective. The current sentiment is a mix of frustration and cautious optimism, a bit like holding onto a ray of sunshine while getting drenched in rain. Many potential buyers are expressing concern about affordability and their available financing options, especially with rising interest rates that hit an average of 6.79% for new vehicle loans in early 2023. This financial strain has prompted a significant shift in how consumers are approaching car buying. Instead of jumping in with both feet, buyers are weighing their options carefully, increasingly prioritizing budget-friendly alternatives, or in some cases, deciding to delay their purchases altogether. Interestingly enough, there's also a growing awareness around the necessity of honing negotiation skills. Consumers are realizing that in a fluctuating market where prices can vary widely between dealerships, Knowing how to negotiate can mean the difference between a good deal and a mediocre one. This newfound talent is reflected in surveys showing that nearly 70% of consumers are now more inclined to negotiate on price compared to before the pandemic. An exciting shift towards more informed and proactive purchasing strategies. Every interaction in a dealership can now feel like a dramatic episode filled with suspense and excitement. But what's the drama exactly? Have you noticed that more and more Americans are handing their car keys back to lenders? This isn't just a quirky trend, it's a glaring sign that something significant is happening. Recent statistics paint a rather bleak picture. Over 7.7% of auto loans are now classified as delinquent. This is the highest rate we've seen since 2010. It's like a warning siren signaling deeper financial troubles for consumers across the nation. The broader landscape is being greatly impacted by rising living costs and increasing borrowing, leaving many deep in a financial struggle. You can't help but wonder how we got to this point. So, what's driving this consumer dilemma? One major issue is the alarming increase in monthly payments, which has reached a staggering average of approximately $623 for new vehicles. This number doesn't even tell the whole story. In fact, many people are struggling with payments that go well beyond the $1,000 mark. It's easy to see how these hefty price tags have become impossible obstacles for countless buyers. The root of these skyrocketing costs lies in two words: vehicle prices and interest rates. The prices of vehicles have soared to jaw-dropping heights, while rising interest rates have made borrowing a much pricier affair. For reference, auto loan rates have surged to an average of 9.2% for new cars and a staggering 13.8% for used vehicles. This financial reality means that each month, many borrowers find themselves stretching their budgets thinner than ever before, which only adds stress to their everyday lives. As consumers wrestle with their budget dilemmas, we're seeing some fascinating shifts in behavior. Let me explain. The impact. People are adapting to these financial strains in real time, and it's painting a vivid picture of the changing landscape of auto purchasing. A specific group has emerged, the budgeteers. You've probably met one or two of them. These savvy individuals are prioritizing budgeting like it's a new fitness trend. They want to squeeze every possible dollar out of their purchases and are increasingly open to exploring alternatives like used cars or more affordable models. Not only are they looking for deals, but they're also seeking value in ways that might have seemed irrelevant just a few years back. But that's not all. There's a noticeable trend towards car-sharing services and other alternative transportation methods. In a world where every penny counts, many people are looking to reduce their dependency on personal vehicles. It makes total sense in this economy. As a reflection of this broader societal trend towards sustainability and more cost-effective living, platforms like Zipcar and Turo are seeing their usage skyrocket. Consumers are opting for flexible transportation solutions that free them from long-term financial commitments. It's a shift that pairs well with today's priorities, where convenience and sustainability share the spotlight. With financial constraints tightening their grip, buyers are altering their strategies to be more discerning and, quite frankly, more strategic in their decision-making processes. Gone are the days of impulse buying. These days, many consumers are diving into extensive research before they even think about making a purchase. They're focusing on affordability and long-term value more than ever, often sidelining traditional brand loyalty or the allure of prestige. It's an entirely new mentality that speaks volumes about how economic pressures can reshape consumer behavior. Moreover, as these trends evolve, dealerships are also feeling the heat. Competition is intensifying like never before. Dealerships are scrambling to attract a shrinking pool of buyers who are now more selective about their purchases. It's a fierce battleground out there. Potential buyers are negotiating more aggressively than ever, advocating for better terms and hunting down financing options that are in line with their more stringent budgets. No one wants to feel as though they've gotten the short end of the stick, right? In this new consumer-driven landscape, dealers are adapting their marketing strategies to highlight prices that won't leave buyers cringing at the thought of their monthly payments. They're shifting focus to affordability and financing flexibility, understanding that consumers today are demanding more while being willing to make fewer compromises. With wallets feeling the pinch, buyers are no longer swayed solely by flashy advertising or brand prestige. They want to know what they'll actually be paying for their hard-earned money. Moreover, with the wide array of choices flooding the market, consumers are empowered more than ever before. We're in an age where information is at our fingertips. Buyers can research car prices, read reviews, and even compare loans from the comfort of their couches. With just a few clicks, they can easily tap into a wealth of insights and reviews that inform their decisions and lead them to the most budget-friendly options. The auto market today is more than just a place to buy cars. It's a reflection of a society navigating through financial uncertainty. Consumers are not just facing challenges, they're making smart moves, adapting, and cultivating strategies that align with their new realities. The pressures of budgeting have ushered in a wave of innovation in how we view transportation. So what do we take away from all these changes? Alarming rise in delinquencies and repossessions. As of the second quarter of 2024, a staggering 4.43% of auto loans are now at least 90 days overdue. That's not just a small bump. It represents a significant jump from 3.82% seen during the same period last year. When you break that down, it highlights a 15.97% rise year over year. That's a lot of folks struggling to keep their wheels turning. This alarming trend signals that more Americans are grappling with their auto loan payments. And the culprits? Yep. We're looking at skyrocketing vehicle prices and rising interest rates. Now, let's take a step back and look beyond the statistics to understand the human impact of this crisis. Behind every number lies a story, a struggle, and for many families across the nation, a very harsh reality. Consider the story of a single mother in her 30s who recently found herself having to return her vehicle to the lender. She had initially taken out a loan for a used car, but bam, life tossed her some curveballs. Unexpected medical expenses combined with skyrocketing living costs pushed her to the brink, resulting in her inability to keep up with her car payments. This heartbreaking scenario isn't unique. Many are finding themselves in similarly tough situations where the financial pressures become too intense to handle. Then there's the family dependent on their vehicle for daily commuting. They had everything lined up perfectly until the unexpected happened. One parent lost their job during an economic downturn. The storm hit hard and their financial foundation began to shake. With dwindling income, they struggled to juggle their auto loan payments while also covering mortgage obligations. Eventually, the inevitable happened. They were forced to surrender their car. This wasn't merely a loss of mobility, it deeply affected their ability to seek new employment opportunities as well. This vicious cycle of hardship illustrates how financial crises extend far beyond car payments. They ripple through family life, employment prospects, and overall stability. Now let's delve deeper into how these rising rates of delinquencies and repossessions play into the broader auto market crisis. This isn't merely a localized issue, it's a situation that has significant implications across the industry. When a wave of individuals begins defaulting on their loans, lenders start tightening their grip on credit. That means fewer financing options for potential buyers, which translates to a chilling effect on sales for dealerships. Picture it, fewer buyers mean more inventory sitting on dealership lots, creating a strain on businesses that can't move their vehicles. It's like a domino effect, and the entire automotive ecosystem feels the tremors. Adding fuel to this fire, increased delinquencies invite a vicious cycle to unfold. Repossessed vehicles flood the market, driving down resale values and creating a chaotic environment in which consumer confidence dips dangerously low. Who wants to buy a car when the market seems unstable? It's a fair question. This predicament is particularly precarious for lower-income borrowers. They're the ones facing the brunt of rising costs and stagnant wages, pushing them further towards the edge. As these trends escalate, they endanger not just individual financial health, but they pose a significant risk to the overall vitality of the automotive sector, which relies heavily on consumer confidence and spending. Now, you might be wondering what comes next in this unfolding saga. As delinquencies rise, the industry is on the brink of significant shifts. Lenders will likely tighten credit standards even further, making it harder for newer buyers to step into the market. Dealerships, feeling the pressure, may start offering more alluring financing options to attract the dwindling pool of buyers. But let's be real. No one wants to be in a position where they're forced to make uninformed decisions about their financial futures. This situation is the same thing as walking on a tightrope without a safety net. Causes and consequences. The automotive industry is currently grappling with a considerable challenge that many might not fully appreciate: An overwhelming surplus of inventory piling up at dealerships. Fast forward to mid-2024, and you'd find that many dealerships are telling a concerning story. Their inventory levels are approximately 30% higher than what we saw before the pandemic's upheaval. This saturation not only creates logistical headaches, but also complicates the buying experience for potential customers, who often find themselves bewildered by the sheer number of options at their disposal. Those vehicles collecting dust are more than mere numbers. They tell a story of a market facing trials and tribulations. Unpacking the reasons behind this inventory explosion reveals layers of complexity. One of the major culprits is the disruption of supply chains, a harsh reality that has been magnified by extraordinary events, including the upheaval caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Manufacturers have encountered significant hurdles, notably delays in parts availability, leading to production backlogs. As demand began to rebound, manufacturers hurried to ramp up production, inadvertently leading to an overflow of unsold cars at dealerships. Add to that mix the shifting preferences among consumers, and you start to see why things have spiraled. The meteoric rise of electric vehicles in the market has transformed the playing field, leaving a number of traditional internal combustion engine models sitting idly by. Data from 2023 paints a vivid picture. Sales of electric vehicles shot up by a staggering 50%, while sales of conventional vehicles lagged behind, creating a fascinating yet troubling mismatch between what dealerships have on their lots and what buyers are actively seeking. The traditional build-to-stock model, which has been the cornerstone of automotive inventory management, is showing signs of age in this rapidly evolving market. This method, predicated on historical sales data to forecast future demand, can result in overproduction if the winds of consumer preference shift unexpectedly. A recent study illuminated this vulnerability, revealing that about 45% of automotive companies faced hurdles stemming from outdated inventory management practices. When you compare the sales patterns today to those of the past few years, the shifts are monumental. Back in 2021 and early 2022, dealerships thrived in an environment defined by limited inventory and soaring demand, a direct result of production slowdowns. Fast forward to the present, and the narratives have changed. Consumers are now more discerning and cautious with their spending habits, leading average dealership inventory turnover rates to plummet to about 45%. The repercussions of this inventory crisis reach far beyond the walls of individual dealerships. They resonate throughout local economies and significantly impact employment within the automotive sector. Picture this: dealerships, confronted with unsustainable operating costs tied to these high inventory levels, are increasingly at risk of closure. Alarmingly, a survey from early 2024 indicated that nearly 25% of dealerships could face the grim prospect of closing their doors within the next year if the current trends persist. The consequences are tangible and immediate. Job losses are becoming an unfortunate reality as dealerships adopt measures to streamline operations in response to shrinking sales volumes. Reports suggest that around 15% of dealership employees have faced layoffs or experienced cuts to their working hours. As if that weren't enough, the struggles faced by automotive dealerships create ripples that thrum through local economies and communities, where these dealerships often serve as essential economic hubs. They don't just provide jobs directly, they also support a variety of auxiliary businesses ranging from service stations to parts suppliers. As the financial health of dealerships declines, the inevitable knock-on effect is a softening local job market, which can lead to reduced consumer spending and a broader economic malaise in affected areas. Regions that are particularly reliant on automotive sales have begun to report a 10% decline in local business revenues, a daunting statistic that underscores the broader implications of increasing dealership closures. In a fascinating twist, this is also shaping trends in the used car market. With new vehicles languishing and performing poorly in terms of sales, more consumers are pivoting to the used vehicle space, prompting a distinct increase in demand for pre-owned cars. This shift has created a somewhat volatile used car market. Prices fluctuate as they adapt to the availability or lack thereof of new vehicles and consumers' evolving sentiments toward the purchase of new versus used options. The landscape of the automotive sector today is a complex tapestry, replete with challenges born from supply chain disruptions, rapidly shifting consumer preferences, and the traditional sales strategies that are desperately trying to keep up. To navigate this turbulent environment requires not just awareness, but also forward-thinking strategies that center around innovative inventory management and a genuine willingness to adapt to what consumers want now. What we're witnessing isn't merely an inventory issue, it's an opportunity for transformation within the automotive industry. Stakeholders must rally to confront these intricate challenges that extend far beyond individual dealerships and ripple throughout local economies. How will the industry adapt, and what creative strategies will emerge in response to the inventory crisis at hand? Let's talk about this in detail because, in the fast-paced world of automotive commerce, change is the only constant. Predicting the future. It's clear we're living in a unique era, right? The auto industry isn't just facing the usual ups and downs, it's navigating a perfect storm of economic factors that could drastically change the landscape. So let's dive into what might not only reshape the industry, but also how this impacts us as consumers and players in this economic game. One prominent player in this unfolding narrative is inflation. It's a word we've all heard tossed around in recent months. Picture this. As of June 2024, inflation sits at around 3.5%. But here's the kicker. Car prices have jumped by about 4.2% year over year. This persistent inflation creates a squeeze on consumers. Suddenly, buying a car isn't just about falling in love with a shiny new model. It's about wrestling with higher production costs, pushing vehicle prices up. As prices continue to rise, many consumers may steer their shopping habits toward caution, potentially slowing down auto sales. Makes you wonder, how many people will hold off until they feel more financially secure? And we can't forget the fluctuation in interest rates. A conversation about the auto market isn't complete without mentioning how interest rates profoundly shape consumer decisions. And if that wasn't enough to contend with, ongoing supply chain disruptions, particularly that notorious semiconductor chip shortage, continue to throw a wrench in automotive production. It's almost like a never-ending cycle of frustration. One obvious outcome is cautious consumer behavior. With inflation and rising costs weighing heavily on minds, many buyers might opt for pre-owned vehicles or more budget-friendly models rather than splurging on new cars. During the pandemic, we saw a spike in demand for used cars, with prices surging up to 30% above pre-pandemic levels. Will this trend continue as wallets remain tight? On the flip side, dealerships find themselves in a precarious position too. Reports indicate that dealership inventories have risen by about 25% compared to the previous year. That excess stock is a double-edged sword. While it means a greater selection for consumers, it also pressures dealerships to cut prices and offer enticing incentives to entice reluctant buyers. Financial strain could lead to closures, diminishing consumer choices, and stifling competition in an already busy marketplace. However, hope springs eternal, and if inflation begins to cool down while interest rates stabilize or even decline, we could witness a surge in consumer confidence. Analysts are already buzzing about the impact of even a modest 1% drop in interest rates, potentially translating into a significant boost in new car sales, perhaps adding over 500,000 units to the market annually. That's a huge deal. So what game plans? How will consumers get a win over these uncertainties effectively? As consumers, we must arm ourselves with smart strategies to navigate these turbulent waters. The first step is doing our homework. Staying informed about market trends, vehicle availability, pricing fluctuations, and all the buzzwords will be crucial in making savvy decisions. Tools like price comparison websites can uncover hidden gems and ensure you're getting the best bang for your buck. Knowledge really is power here. Let's talk timing too. When you align your car buying strategy with interest rate trends, you stand to snag substantial savings. Keep an eye on seasonal sales events or year-end clearances. They can be your golden ticket. And now, more than ever, it's vital to critically evaluate needs versus wants. In today's economic climate, you'll want to lean toward reliable used cars or more affordable new models. It's not the moment to rush into a purchase. Taking time to think through your options can prevent unnecessary financial headaches. Another smart way to enhance your buying experience is through proactive financial planning. Set a clear budget that includes not just monthly payments, but also estimates for insurance, maintenance, and fuel costs. Trust me, limiting those surprises goes a long way in preventing buyer's remorse. And let's not overlook the value of seeking pre-approval from lenders to clarify financing options, giving you a solid grasp of your purchasing power before you step foot in a dealership. Last but not least, exploring incentives can open new doors. We've been seeing average incentive packages soar, with a 53% increase in June 2024 alone, signaling savings that savvy consumers should seize. Trade-in bonuses and manufacturer rebates can mitigate high prices and interest rates, making that dream car a little more realistic. By adopting these thoughtful strategies and staying vigilant about the ever-changing landscape of the auto market, consumers can confidently navigate the complexities ahead while positioning themselves for future opportunities. But what are your thoughts on this? Let's know in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you on the next video.